今日も元気にステップ。今回の動画は Twitter 情報です。2023年5月16日の分です。手短に行きます。詳細は公式 Twitter を確認ください。早速いきますね。先月のハイライト、今後のイベント、振込手数料アップ、 GNT のエッジ、戦略的投資、コミュニティの質問、バッジと実績、今後の展望、その他です。1、先月の FSL のハイライト、ムーアー、ディスコードでの最初の AMA、 12時間ごとにドロップされるフェアーミントコレクションの開始、ハイプセーンツ戦略シードラウンドのお知らせ、 NFT、 NYC 中のアクティベーション、ロストワールドの宝探しとデゴッズスニーカー、イベントプラスアルファ、日本の東京でのTEAMZカンファレンスを主催します。今後数日中にジェネシスとOG スニーカーとの新たなコラボレーションを発表します。現実世界の IP とデジタルコレクションの橋渡しをする当社の継続的な取り組みを反映しています。新たなコラボレーションは LINE かな。前 LINE となんかやる的な話があったような記憶ですね。注意、ジェネシススニーカーは2万個の限定供給となります。これは変わりません。3、アプリ内送金手数料の増加。最近のガソリン代高騰のため料金を監視し、それに応じて調整します。スニーカーの品質が向上すると取引価格が上昇するのはエネルギー搾取に対抗するための最初のパッチによるものです。4、GNT のエッジ。 GNT は生産性ツールとして無限の可能性を示し、コミュニティ構築とブートストラップの新しい方法を提供します。ユーザーを利害関係者に変える NFT の価格を GMT で設定。私たちのエコシステムに良い。5、戦略的投資。 FSL は先月のハイプセーンツを皮切りに今後さらに戦略的な投資を行う予定です。私たちは多くのプロジェクトを支援するリソースを持っています。6、コミュニティの質問と回答。アカウントレベルを上げるにはどうすればよいですか？消費エネルギーに基づくアカウントレベル。アカウントレベルは何を決定しますか？今のところ何もありません。得点を付与できるかどうかは今後決定します。実績システム最適化に取り組んでいます。 iOS バックトラックツール。すべての実績は1日目から遡って反映されますか？ウォーカー、ジョガー、ランナー、トレーナーの運動は記録されないデータの例です。これを元に戻す方法とその方法を検討中です。コミュニティが何が足りないのか、どうすれば目標を達成できるのかを確認できるように、実績に進捗バーが表示されますか？フィードバックを受け取りましたので、次のアップデートで検討させていただきます。バッジ GMT の燃焼ポイントと獲得したアチーブメントポイントの比率はどれくらいですか？ 20、GMT 消費1達成ポイント。バッジを販売すると条件を満たすたびに無限に入手できるのでしょうか？いいえ、各ユーザーは実績ごとに1つのバッジのみを取得できます。ボーナスまたはアプリ内ユーティリティ付きのバッジはありますか？バッジは参加の証明と報酬として機能しますが、現時点ではアプリ内機能はありません。アプリ内特典の付与を検討する前に第1ステージ、つまりより多くの実績や報酬を完了してください。バッジの書き込みシステムはありますか？これは検討されましたが、今のところ複雑なシステムを展開しないことにしました。すべての実績、バッジはすでに同期されていますか？それともまだ同期を待っていますか？同期を待機中。データのバックログが膨大です。時間が必要。他の領域のバッジはどうですか？検討します。例、3つのレルムすべてにスニーカーを装備するなどが、現時点ではバッジは SOL のみにあります。バッジはステップ N エコシステムにどのように役立つと思いますか？これはハードコアプレイヤーに全く新しい世界を開き、 誰に報酬を与えるべきかをより適切に特定するのに役立ちます。また、人々を快適ゾーンの外に連れ出して、ゲームの他の側面を探索し、モチベーションを維持することもできます。その他、スニーカーのパーソナライゼーションに関するニュースはありますか？これは私たちが改良中のものであり、スニーカーのパーソナライゼーションよりも優れたものができると信じています。FSL チームにおけるステップ N の長期的なスケジュールは何ですか？ 2 つの主要エリア。事後対応型。短期的な環境に適応する。プロアクティブ。新しいアプリ。ステップンブランド。新しいトークン。NFT メカニズムを通じて次の指数関数的な成長をリードします。アプリにあるかもしれないが実装されていない最もクールな機能は何ですか？レンタル。それは間違った視聴者を引きつける可能性があると感じているからです。歩いて稼ぐプロジェクトでは、どのような将来の傾向と発展が期待できますか？ POW コンセンサスと同様、作品が本物で悪用不可能であると確信したら、様々なインセンティブを行うことができます。つまり、様々な製品、新しい NFT の構築など、以上で今回の動画は終わりです。はじめに話した通り、詳しくは公式を見て確認してくださいね。毎日ステップン頑張りましょう。それではまたね。バイバイ。
For the giveaway. Cool. That's it for the housekeeping, and I'll get started with a summary of the highlights from last month. First of all, we had our first AMA on More Discord and started the launch of the Fairmint collections. So many of you might have noticed that we now have Fairmints every 12 hours instead of 24 hours, one at UTC 0 o'clock and the other one at UTC 12 o'clock. This change really is to make sure that people around the world at different time zones can get to participate in the Fairmint. So quite a few of you guys in the past could never get up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and that just doesn't work for everyone. And then for some of them, they just get minted out within a few minutes, if not seconds. So we did this adjustment. That is also in line with the influx of submission into the backend for GMT. So thank you all so much for participation. Second, we also announced FSL's commitment to co-lead the strategic seed round for Hype Saints. Congratulations, Hype Saints team, and we look forward to work with them more. And last month, we had multiple cool activations during NFT NYC. That actually felt like ages ago, but it was literally just last month. So we did a bunch of things. I think we well covered that in the previous town hall, but I'll just summarize again here. So those activations included the Lost Worlds Treasury Hunt, the D-Gods sneakers, and we'd like to thank all the partners that we had, and we are planning for more interesting things in the futures. So definitely stay tuned. And then we have some really good, interesting updates to provide and a ton of community questions regarding our latest updates. So let's get into it. Oh, actually, before those conversations with Jan and Jerry have, I would also mention a few other things. So please bear with me a little bit longer period of time before we hop into those. About the upcoming events. So first of all, we have a lot of cool stuff for the TEAMZ conference in Tokyo, Japan, which is happening tomorrow. And, the first day we'll have multiple ambassadors locally to, greet everyone. And this next day, Jan has a panel, and also there's an important announcement that we are going to do. So I'll definitely walk through some of the agenda items for that conference and the activity during 18th. So firstly, our Japanese ambassadors spend a lot of time, kudos to them, and organizing community events where Jan and myself will join in person and hold an AMA. So the AMA will be in 2 batches because there are just too many interests from the community that we definitely didn't expect, because we know a lot of community members may not necessarily be all in Tokyo. I do remember the national event happened last month. Actually had, I think it was 17 or 18 cities. So it was definitely amazing that a lot of you wanted to join us at the event. So we definitely look forward to that. And for those who weren't able to register, definitely stay tuned, and we'll have more to offer in the upcoming month. And we did notice and receive the feedback from the community members that we will notify in advance about the registration. So then, like, it's not going to be unfair to some people who did not get prepared. And we will also announce a new collaboration, including the drop of Genesis and OG sneakers. Bear with us for a few more days, technically 2 more days, to know more about this exciting partnership. This partnership marked our effort to continue bridging the real world IP with our digital collection. And I wanted to take this opportunity to reiterate that Genesis sneakers are and will always be limited to a total supply of 20K. That has not been changed. And during our time in Japan, we are going to meet with a bunch of potential partners, including some IP, some social products and stuff. So if there are potential collaborations that you'd like to see, or interesting intros that you'd like to make for us to explore the partnership with, please do not hesitate to let us know. My Twitter account and the Stephen official Twitter account, both DM are open. So feel free to shoot us a message for those intros. The more, the merrier, definitely. Awesome. So finally, all of these are done. Now you can eventually get to hear, speak, yawn, and you don't have to bear with me anymore. So yeah, we want to spend some time today to address a lot of the community's questions, because we did have some updates and change within the app. Before jumping into the community questions about the badges and achievements, the transfer fees from spending to wallet have recently increased. Jan, maybe you want to talk about this decision and the reasoning behind it?
Yes, of course. We had to change to more of a dynamic fee structure. The primary reason was that we have seen a spike on the gas fee recently, and which are very much contributed by all the meme coins trading. So we have been subsidizing on the gas fee, but we've seen that this turned out to be sort of a persistent issue, so we have to up the gas fee. But we are constantly monitoring the gas fee, so that if this meme coin thing has been trending down, we will also make appropriate adjustment on the gas fee. Hello? Is that me or Mabel dropped?
Okay. I've been speaking for the whole time without unmuting myself. I was just saying that I felt like a lot of our users are not the same group of users that trade the meme coins. So I think, many of them may be a bit confused about, why, gas fees are changing and then this and that. But I think, one really big important point that we're building here, being here today, is actually trying to bridge a lot of those gaps and also make, the whole process smoother. Obviously, right now, all the infrastructure and stuff aren't, the easiest and the smoothest. But I think the more we continue to build, there's going to be more interesting things, to happen. And I think, when, a lot of the, say, smart contract wallets to come, some of the parts about, like, paying gas for some of the new users for the first 10 transactions, for example, it's like those can be done by those. So I think I'm definitely excited about that features. So some users also asked the questions behind the reason behind the increase in transaction price when the sneaker quality increases. So could you explain on that part?
Sure. So the gas fee associated with sneaker quality has more of a long history behind. So I think that was the first thing we did when we noticed that there are users where they will have more of an energy farm, more like exploitation. So where they have, let's say, 10 or 20 accounts with 9 common sneakers, and then they will just transfer a rare one or epic one around, just farm tokens. And the increasing on the fee was sort of a thing that will address this type of exploitation, plus the introduction of the cooldown system. So it's unfortunate, but we have been noticing that this type of exploitation has to be addressed, and having a cooldown plus additional fee will be acting as a deterrent for the issue.
Okay, that makes sense to me, and it's interesting. I actually never get to chat with you about like the reason behind, so it's definitely a good learning for myself as well. So in the announcement, it has been said that those fees within the app will change. Will they be periodic changes or changed when the team decide to modify them?
Yes. So it is. So we're basically monitoring the gas fee on a daily basis, and we do not implement changes unless we see the issue being persistent. And in this case, it's actually persistent. And so we've been paying for a higher gas fee for a while, and we say, okay, this is not gonna sort of trending down. So then we have to sort of up to the gas fee. But I think I also want to reiterate that we will, in no circumstances, or we will have absolutely zero intention to implement any type of deterrent for user to changing their tokens either into ETH or Solana or stablecoins, because we do believe the concept of the open market. So that is something that we absolutely will hold and will honor in our case. But in this particular case where we have certainly a disruption from the meme coins trading from DEX, so causing us a bit of trouble on the gas fee part.
I actually have two choices for you. You and Jerry can decide. We have a huge list of badge and achievement questions. But we can also start with, other things that happening in FSL, which is like slightly shorter. Like which one do you wanna?
Let's get the other things done first, and then
Okay.
we can have a longer time allocated for the badge and achievement questions.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, no, I figured that's probably the case. But I still wanted to just have, this conversation. But yeah, so okay, now let's switch gears a little bit, and talk about other things happening in Find Satoshi Lab. So Jan, I think you also just heard what I said about, the influx of the GNT submissions and stuff. What's your thought on the use cases for GNT? I mean, now like a lot of people are issuing collections and stuff, on top of us, and then every 12 hours people can mint something.
Yes. I still feel that GNT full potential hasn't been fully explored, particularly for the possibilities of having an NFT gated event. So this is not really only limited to the Web3, where say, okay, I have this badge from GNT or a special NFT, and then it be acting as more like a VIP pass to get into more of an exclusive either online offline event. This can also be utilized from a Web2 perspective. So it because the cost is pretty pretty low, right? You have one GMT or couple GMT to just mint one NFTs, and it will be a more like I think a convenient tool for both the Web2 and Web3 space to launch event. So that's one thing that GNT could explore down the track. And the second is it will be a wonderful product to interact with other product. So for what we planned, right? So within the FSL ecosystem, so it's where we say, okay, now we will enable, let's say, the NFT display instead, right? So you have a asset, a verifiable asset display, and to produce the verifiable asset is done through GNT, and the display is done in Steppen. So it certainly could be explored in other type of product if they want to, let's say, make association with more, for example, where more will generate their fan art or derivative NFTs and then display it in this type of product. So that's more like interconnectivities of GNT with other products. And the third thing is also very importantly, which we don't see now, where I think the either NFT market or the whole NFT community is more geared toward liquidity provisions. But people have sort of long forgotten the reason that NFT got really hot in the first place is to form a community, is to bootstrap a project. So, and that is sort of the wonderful thing about NFTs, where people with a common interest or people with a common sort of artistic appreciation on certain NFTs are talking within a enclosed ecosystem or a community. So it is a new way of community building tool and bootstrapping tool for project or NFT collections, where they turn the supporters into a stakeholder. And I think the last point for GNT is really about how it utilized GNT. So unlike any other NFT marketplace, where they are traded in either Sol or ETH or Matic, for example, more we actually encourage people to trade in GNT. So it will create a large GMT liquidity pool for people to utilize their NFTs and certainly to consume GMT, to turn them into NFTs. So where you turn something finite GMT into something that with infinite possibilities, where all the NFTs people generated. So I think that's sort of what we see the GNT could potentially do for now and down the track in the future.
Yeah, certainly. I think for the NFT gated events, I think you're talking about, the possibility for someone to design their own badges. And I think that's absolutely something that the community would want to have when they're organizing their own events, right? I mean, the badge and achievements are something that they've done within the app. But what really marks the Steppen community is the connection between the online to offline, the true power or of connecting all the people together. And I think the potential to allow the GNT to generate all sorts of badges for people to use. Even imagine like the Japanese national event that happened last month. If people in 17 multiple different cities were able to generate the badges all at once, that's going to be very interesting. So I think even if GNT was on top of more, that there's just like a lot of things that's related to Steppen and can contribute a lot to the community. So I think that's very, very interesting. Another topic, we are planning to formally start so this is actually kind of like announcement, by the way. So we are planning to formally start the efforts on strategic investments. I think many of you may have noticed that we did a few in the past few months, but we thought, this can actually become a growth engine for us to stay connected with the whole Web3 ecosystem, as well as seeing more inspirational ideas and sourcing the best talents and, potentially working together with them. Not necessarily hiring them, but technically really find the best talents to work together on the next generation mass adoption Web3 product. And I think that's absolutely pivotal for us in terms of growth, in addition to, all the partnerships that we are doing, all the products that we're shipping, and so on and so forth. So I would very much love to hear, Jerry and Jan, your thoughts and rationale behind this decision. Jerry, do you like to talk a little bit?
First of all, I want to share the reason why we start this fund. Firstly, I think we know Web3 products, and we know how to make a good product, and we want to share more experience and the knowledge we earned during we made the Steppen app. So that's one. And the second thing is, I think we know entrepreneurs in this industry, and we know how to communicate with them, and we know how to help them grow. And the last and the most important thing is, I think we have the best fund manager in this space. Mabel, you are the key person. So since you are here, then we feel very confident to start this fund. Yeah, any thoughts?
So what we trying to do at the current stage is to pool a number of talented project teams or people within the FSL ecosystem where they utilize GMT and they can do cross marketing, for example. So it will be I think working our advantage, more like a mutual advantage for both us and also the project we invested to not only survive but thrive in the current market condition. So I think what we're trying to do is more like a win-win situation. So because we understand that now, people say, oh, it's bear market, this and that. But if we are more forward-looking in a booming market, the money is the least thing you worry about. It's really the community is really how much traction it can build with all the clutters, noise happened in this space. And certainly that we believe we will act stronger, right, as an ecosystem to push things around.
Awesome.
Yeah, can I add
please
a bit more? Yeah, thank you. And because we since we launched more our NFT marketplace, and we've seen lots of good projects approached and list on more, and some of them are really good, and more and more startups are coming and listing their collections and trying to do the great products, and that's another main reason that we start this fund. With this fund plus more NFT marketplace, I think we can helping more people, more startups to make their app their success. So yeah, that's my thought. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think there's so I think a lot of people like to use the term network effect, but I think what really network effect means is that when there are more people in an ecosystem or a network together, they can have better, enjoy better benefit across them. I think the reason why we're doing this is exactly that. We want to have everyone better off within the ecosystem. So I think it's quite pivotal at this time. And obviously, I think, there's one thing that we did not mention, all of us didn't mention, not that we like to time the market, but right now it's actually, the time when a lot of people do not have enough confidence in the space, or at least people who are still trying to learn. So we think it's definitely the right timing to, be able to get some access to the fairly valuated assets and projects, and also being able to invite the best people into the space. Because I think like people built during a bear market, or I mean, we don't really like to talk about bear market, bull market, whatever, but it's all comparatively speaking. But yes, I do think right now it's the best timing for sure. So like that's another point that I wanted to add on top. Jan, you have any other thing you'd like to mention on I guess like other things happening within the firm?
Yes, I think going back to the more on the investment arms, I think we actually have a plan actually to launch a investment to the FS fund. So the execution will happen next month, but I think we can sort of mention this during this town hall. And other things that we're working on is to backtrack all the data on the achievement system, which we actually will address that later down the track.
All right. So I think we are done with the laundry list of, I guess, like other things happening in FSL, and we can start to, I guess, like shoot some bullets on the questions of badges. Sure. I guess, like, would you like to comment, first of all, on some personal experience with the update? Because Jan, I think you were probably the only one that had or like in order to try this out, you get an Android. I don't know which way you were, but how was your feeling?
Yes, I actually switched to an Android phone once we made the achievement system online, because we are still waiting on the review for the App Store from Apple. And the first thing I've noticed is that not all the achievement that I have done has been logged, right? So that what's going on. So the reason that behind it was that it turned out that we have a lot of data that we have to backtrack, and to actually backtrack this data take some time to curate. So this has been, I think, communicated to the community where that we will need some extra time to actually sync the user's data with the achievement system. So, but for the time being, we have allocated people some achievement point where they can deploy and purchase the background. And I personally buy some background myself. And we will roll out incrementally on the achievement badge backtrack while we are waiting on the iOS upgrade. So I think the people that using Apple iPhone actually are not missing much because when we're doing the backtrack, we're actually backtracking all the users. So while they are waiting for the iOS upgrade update, we are actually not working on the backtrackings. So I would say we'll take another few days for people to start to see the badge starting to roll out.
Yeah, I was going to correct you that like they weren't missing anything, but then I thought about like some people just want to be the first. So like yeah, definitely that part of fun wasn't there. But yeah, no, I personally had an iPhone, and I was a sticker collector since I was a kid. So like I have to say, when I saw the badge designs before it was rolled, now I was personally blown away. Surely I think there were some challenges in the middle of the rollout, but I'm just talking about seeing people sharing the design and stuff. I think those are quite interesting. So now I'd like to continue on with some questions from the communities about the account system. How to level up the account level, and what is the account level determine?
Sure. So account level is decided by how much energy you have burned. So basically now we have 3 realms, so people can decide to burn not only on one but multiple realms. And basically fast track their account levels. So that is roughly how you get your account level up.
Are you finished with your answer?
Yep.
Or-
Yep.
Oh, okay. I had a second question though. Did you hear that?
Mhm.
The,
What is
The what is the account level determined?
okay. There because when we're looking at so I want to have people to understand that we're looking at achievement system as a whole. So the account system, the account level is just one thing we're looking at when we say, all right, what we're gonna, let's say, reward or do some incentive programs to the users. So there's no definitive answer of what give and doesn't give from a achievement perspective. So we want to be more of a holistic. We're looking at, let's say, account level. We're looking at certainly the meta achievement. We haven't rolled it out yet. We want to monitor that the achievement system is working as intended before we roll out the next the meta achievement. So we want looking at a few things when we decide, say, the airdrops or the perks or other things, let's say offerings we provide to the users. So yeah, to answer the question is that the account level system is just one aspect for us to look at when we I talk about like achieve to earn like several times in the past session, and yeah, so this is sort of the scope.
Okay. Well, I mean, you said about the meta achievement. Was that the word you used?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely hooked me because I also don't know what it is. I would love to find out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we haven't
You don't
rolled it
have
out.
to tell me.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me now. I'm just saying that
Sure.
I'm hooked. And then on badges, what's the ratio? This is more of a just like a housekeeping thing. But what's the ratio GMT burn achievement points earned?
Yeah, I mean, people are gonna find out eventually. So it's about 20 GMT spent, you get 1 achievement point. So roughly that's the ratio, and that for people that participate, for example, the marketing event, that also counts toward the GMT spend.
So if we sell a badge, will we have to rebuy it later, or can we get it endlessly every time that we satisfy the requirements?
Because at the moment, there are only the luck related badge are tradable. So that's pretty much, I think, for people to, when they're looking at the marketplace, that's all the jam breaking badge they're looking at. Now we have done hot fix, so one person will only get 1 badge per account. So if they sold that badge, they cannot generate any more. They have to buy it back from the market. So it is now working as intended. One person, 1 badge. If you sold it, that's it. You're not getting more.
Okay. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, otherwise, like, it's just not gonna work that well.
Yeah.
And but I guess like so, kind of like dig in a little bit though. If you sold it, is that the only way you can get it again is to buy it back from the market? It is, right? Okay. Yeah, I missed that part. Got it. And then will there be badges with a bonus or in-app utility? Okay. Alpha time. Although no, I don't know if there's alpha.
Because there are people are looking at the equations. They say the badge will offering like in-app perks, but at the moment we really consider the badge as more like a proof of participation or like evidence of participation. So it's is more what we're looking at when we decided to do perks to the user. But it will not offer in-app functions. for example, I'll say increase in like a drop rate, this and that, because that will actually overcomplicate the system and the complexity of understanding. So I think one thing that I could say is the current achievement and badge system is still very early. So this is sort of the very fundamental achievement that we released. And we actually want to explore more possibilities, but we want to monitor, how things work before we move on to the next stage. So certainly that we will continue to work on the achievement system. So I think this is one of the important system we release. I certainly want to build on to that. But we have to start somewhere. So I think I also mentioned that we will release the achievement in several seasons. So this is actually the first season. And while we're backtracking on the data, I think we will have a very good couple months down the track. We keep building on this achievement system.
Very cool. So will we have a burn system for the badges linked to their potential utility, for example?
Actually, we did consider having something like a burn system. So we seriously considered to run some sort of enhancement system for the badge. But we then decided not to do it because it actually was quite complex to understand. And also trading on the badge will also create some bit of issues. So we rather to have a simple system designed for badge. It's basically that you have done certain things in the app. It's basically logged and proof with a NFT, and it's not tradable. So where we can actually track on that, rather than you can trade it and then I think miss out. So I think for multiple reasons we say okay, we rather to not to implement a burn system.
No, yeah, I think another interesting part that I kind of foresee is that people, even if like you do not provide a ton of different types of rules and stuff, and I think people will self-organize and then do all kind of things with that. And I think I'm very much looking forward to what people are going to do with whatever that's available. And I think that would require the whole badge and achievement system to cool down a little bit. People will learn about it, and then people would different kind of strategize a little bit. Yeah, so I think give it a few weeks and months, and I think there's going to be very interesting stuff that's going to be evolved from that. And I think that's really the power of community. So very much looking forward. And are all achievement badges already synced, or are we still waiting for sync?
We actually are still waiting for sync. So we a little bit underestimated how much data people generated. So and also the time we need to process this data. So we are still actually making tools to make it more automated when we sync the data. And yeah, so I would say we still need a couple of days. We can gradually sync the achievement badges.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll stay tuned.
Yeah.
Are you gonna?
And also because the way we scale Stephen is that we actually have done a constant upgrade on the backend. So some of the data are pretty hard to backtrack, and some of the data do need some extra time. So we sort of need to build actually additional tools to calculate data from more backend. So there will be some extra time. I think we're also going to cover that bit down the track, that for the data that we did not start to track from the day one, we also have to figure out some way to provide a fair estimate for the users.
And are all achievement badges, the regular badges or the meta badges, retroactive from day one, or only some of the non-tradables are?
Yeah, so this is the thing that I was talking about, that when we first started from day one, not all the data has been tracked, right? So I'll give you an example. Is, for example, the using walker, jogger, runner, or trainer, the session people run, with how much energy have consumed for each respective sneaker types, has not been tracked since day one, and that will take us some time to figure out how we can holistically curate this data and then provide in synced update for the users. So I think that part is actually holding us back a little bit. But I'm actually working also with the dev team to figure out a way where we can provide a fair estimate for all the users.
Okay. Interesting one here. Will there be a progress bar in achievements so the community can see what is missing and how they can achieve the goal?
Yeah, so it is actually a good recommendation, and we only provide partial of the progress in the achievement system. But certainly that I think there's certainly we could improve this in the next update. So this is actually been raised and discussed with the dev team, and we will see appropriate time where we can roll it out.
All right, so here we have another list of all kinds of questions that we collected, not just badges and achievements. So I would love to welcome, I guess, Jerry and Yang, whoever you guys wanted to answer the questions. I'll just fire all the questions and you can just immediately answer whatever you can think of. Cool?
Sure.
Cool. First one, do you have any news about sneaker personalization? Why start to laugh?
Because we I think a lot about sneaker personalization, because this is part where we have the website social, or social file, under our white paper. But we are thinking about revamping this part. There's not much alpha can disclose, but we believe that we can do something that much better with the sneaker personalization. And I think Gary will make an announcement once he feel comfortable. So I think we are actually now revamping this part, to do with the social part.
Okay. Well, you now have, make people have expectations. So Jerry is now to cover. I'm just kidding, but yeah. Okay, let's see what you have. And then how do you think badges will help the StepN ecosystem and gameplay?
Sure. I think badge is something built almost parallel with the GST GMT earning plus the mystery box system, and then the achievement system. So it opened up a whole new space for loyal or hardcore players. So what it does is that it helped us to easily identify who is contributing, the ecosystems, and then we can pinpoint this user group for future, as what we say, like achieve to earn or reward or perks, things like. So that's one reason that we roll out the achievement system and help our ecosystem and users. And the second, I think what we're trying to do is that, because the achievement system is more like a holistic, covered everything within the StepN. So what we want to do is to encourage user to explore things that they didn't plan to explore in the first place. For example, that I always been using either trainer or walker, but I never considered to use a runner. But as you know, one of the requirements, let's say for the meta achievement, is that I have to use runner, right, to achieve or to get the meta achievement. So it encourages people to get outside of their comfort zones, to try new things or to better themselves. I think that's another thing that we want to keep people motivated, and try new things and stay curious. So that's sort of the two main reasons we think the badge will help our user, our ecosystems going forward.
Cool. I'm definitely impressed by the point that you said about encourage people to explore elements that they didn't plan to do before, because that's definitely something that I didn't think of, because I think usually badges achievement are retroactive, but I think it can also serve as like an incentive to really encourage people to do something else. So that's really smart. By the way, for those of you who don't know, Jan is the mastermind behind this badge system. So I'm personally very thankful for what he have done for all of us. Cool. Next one. So what's the long-term timeline for stepping in the FSL team? Well, I guess this is like a really generic one. So yeah, anything that Jerry and Jan you'd like to share?
I think if I disclose too much alpha, I think we'll do it more like a prematurely. So I think I'll talk about this on more of a vague and bigger picture, right? So long term, I think we need to looking at two things, right? One is more on the reactive side. So that's more on the current affair type of spectrum. For example, that under the current market condition, what can we do to best adapt the current environment from a short-term perspective? And this is really to do with the product release schedules. Are we releasing something? Are we releasing a new update? Are we releasing a new product? And how the market will react to this release, and how much of an impact we can bring to the ecosystem or to the industry. If it is a question that we have to ask to ourselves, it is the right time for us to release things, and how do we react to the to the micro environment. So that's more on the reactive side, and I'm more of I think on the proactive side, we constantly ask the question of what can we do to lead the next let's say massive adoption of the Web3, because in a bear market, people really don't think about, let's get more users into this space, right? So we always think that users are grow in a exponential manner at the right time. So so we constantly asking ourselves, what can we do, right? Are we building a new app? Can we do this through a new app, or are we building on top of the existing app? And what kind of the new token or NFT mechanics we can introduce? And this there's no definitive answer also to this type of question, and I think our answer is also constantly shift and changing and refresh as we're going forward, right? So as we design things and we do a pilot study, for example, we say, okay, this works or this doesn't work. So Mabel knows that there's a lot of going on behind the scene. So I think in short, we have a very rough idea of what we can do in long terms, and that is to continue to build new and interesting product and bring people to the Web3, right? So we trialed on the GNT, and we are now working on various self-improvement things for more. I think that's another sort of area of growth that we can certainly improve and help. I think the whole NFT market to bring more users. You know, the more like either Web 2, Web 3 use cases, and but how we do it and when we do it, it all depends on if we can refine to a great idea, and then we time it for the external environment to get better, and then we certainly will achieve more of an exponential growth. So we don't really worry about you know, going forward or, you know, future growth, because you know, people mindset will shift really quickly when the external environment get better, right? So you know, we are all trapped at the moment in more of a you know, like a bear market mindset. But certainly when things change, people have different mindset.
Cool. I mean, I didn't realize that you give such a long answer, but the next one, I really wanted Jerry to answer. So Jerry, pay attention to the question.
Okay.
What is the coolest feature that could be in the app but never got implemented or have not gotten implemented, and why? Very trick one, but
So
if you need time to think, you can let Jan answer first, and then you can think about it. But I think it'll be cool to hear what you say.
Yeah, probably maybe the rental system, and we actually made this system back in March last year, but we feel it might attract the wrong audience, and then we paused it. But another answer is, I want to say, always be the next feature you are never expected.
Oh, you can't be like that. That doesn't work. But okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, the yeah, that's fine. I mean, the rental one is definitely an interesting one. I think you're very spot on in terms of, I would agree with you. Like, it might attract the wrong audiences. Not that it's not gonna be possible at any time later, but then I think, you know, at that time probably not the right time to do it. So yep. Next one, why not put profile pictures chosen by the user instead of just the avatars? Jan, you have a strong opinion on this one.
I mean, if we allow people just to, you know, like a crop, like a, you know, like a Bored Ape or something or whatever, the blue chips as their avatar in the app, I think we are going backward rather than forward. I think with what Twitter trying to do is with NFT display, you know, this is what we call, this is the core reason that we say this is Web 3, not Web 2 or Web 2.5, is where you actually have the ownerships of your asset, and then you can show off that in a way it is verifiable that you own particular of this NFT, right? So I you know, because we're building the Web 3 product, we're not building the Web 2 or 2.5 product, meaning that I think we will certainly support the display of NFTs rather than just display of a JPEG. I think yeah. So I think I have very strong opinions on this.
Cool. Let me see. I really have a super long list of questions, but I think we do not have enough time to address them all. So maybe just one last one, and you don't have to give an extremely long one. So what are the future trends and development we can expect to see in walk and earn projects utilizing Web3 technology?
Okay, so I think we are actually quite lucky to stumble or utilizing, you know, the move to earn. What we consider move to earn is more
Move
like
and
a
earn.
proof. Yeah, move and earn. Yes. What we consider move and earn is more like a proof of work consensus. So because we are running AI everything behind, where we can verify that the work has been done, meaning that it is actually a consensus that people are all agree that, okay, you work outside or run outside, that you prove that you work or run outside. And then you are entitled for a certain reward or incentives. So we certainly can expand, this consensus mechanism, to build a range of different product, right? So new NFT, new token model, new NFT model, for example. So I think that is the future trend. So we certainly are not done on this space, and we certainly that need to make sure that the consensus is robust and cannot be exploited. But I think we have spent the whole past 12 months, right, to upgrade on our snack system, anti-cheating system, and we have actually done one Schadenfreude tool, for all the people that spending over 7,000 energy point. So I think we are now pretty confident that we can utilize, the move and earn concept, and we certainly can utilize it for additional ideas and product, going forward. So yeah, certainly that people do keep an eye on the I think the STEPN franchise, and we will make I think announcement once we feel the time is right.
Okay, some hint was dropped. But all right, let's just wrap this phase. This one is way longer than I expected. I didn't realize that when we picked the questions, we wanted to show our good faith to answer a lot of the community questions, but apparently a lot of the ones that were picked were not able to addressed. But as we previously announced, one of the picked questions from today will win a OG shoebox, and the winner is, the email starts with KAZ. It ends with 4982@gmail.com. So for their questions on the future of FSL, you will receive your OG shoebox in your inventory in the shoebox tab. It might take a few weeks to arrive, but it will get there. Congratulations, and thank you for taking the time to ask your question. And thank you all for joining today. It was another nice town hall to have. Thank you all, and looking forward to the next one.